It's Proclamation news and Gatherence. We've got a lot to get through today, so just sit patiently, enjoy the show. I'm the prodigious, the prominent professor at P&G, as you know. I am a political analyst. I also promote road safety, support knife crime. I support alienated parents as well. Anyone is an alienated parent, mother or father, I'm here to give you the support through court to get yourself into court. People think, just go mediation. But mediation will give you the forms. You've got to learn how to fill them out yourself. Well, I can help you fill them forms out. I'll give you my Skype email address. We can talk over Skype. I can help you fill the forms out online. I can fill them out this side of my computer, what I want to do. Exactly what I want to do. Mother or father. I support feminism, absolutely. No father should take the children off the mother and vice versa. I'm here to support the whole democracy. I'm not sexist. I might come across sexist some days because I'm angry at certain situations, but I'm never angry at women. I'm not even angry. Do you know what? I'm not even angry at my partner. I'm an alienated parent, but I've learned to become wise. I'm very wise. Supporting knife crime, supporting car incidents. I'm supporting local police. I'm supporting police worldwide. I'm supporting NHS worldwide. You know, I'm supporting a lot of things. And you know, I'm one of those people that think ethos is the word. World will be a better country if you all love one another. I support a campaign of Vasudevyava Kutum Bakam, which is Hindu. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it properly. If you've got any Hindu people listening in, you know how to pronounce that better. It means the world is one family. The world is one big family. It is, you think about it, globalization. I mean, I say it time and time again. I support zero fascism, zero xenophobia, zero racism. Ethos is the only word for culturalism. Let's support international bill of rights. We scream it, but do not preach it. Make the change. Are you with me or against me? If you're against me, that's your choice not to be a law-abiding citizen. I know where my clothes are made. Where are your clothes made? That's the thing, people being fascist or racist about a certain culture or skin colour. Where are your clothes made? Did you think about that? Where's your laptop made? Where's your desktop made? Where's your mobile phone made? Where did your food come from? Globalisation, wake up, you absolute dummy. You know, you get something, that's what you got to say to them. Mate, where'd you get your phone? Was you thankful when your mum and dad bought you their phone? So why are you being racist to me then, you did? Well, sort yourself out. There you go. That's all that needs to be said, doesn't it? People need in life. I see fascist comments on social media. I've been amongst it. I've been amongst it at school. I've got a coloured friend, I've got a coloured mother, auntie and uncles. It's despicable of inhumane society. Yeah, but mate, you're cussing me on a phone that come from China, the Bayman community, and you're cussing them. Well, you're an idiot. Wake up. Smell the roses, you complete dummy. Anyway, moving on. Now, I'm not going to, stress about it. It's just that's what it needs to be. The world will be a better place. Everyone gone. I get with anyone in society. I'm hoping to have one of my Indian colleagues on the radio cast in the next couple of days. He can say that word because I think their native tongue is a bit more Hindu than what mine is. That's for sure. Maybe that's but campaigning of the word of it. Yeah, same as ethos. The world is one big family, and we should treat each other with love and respect. Love like neighbour, like you love yourself. Treat people like you like to be treated. Simple as that. I was speaking with Nigerians for the first couple of weeks. It's frustrating to try and understand what they're saying. But once I lived in amongst their community for over a year, they become like my own brother and sister. And I tell you what, they looked after me just like their own. Wasn't treated no different. It was so lovely. They took me in, put me in their choir group. It really helped me back to where I am today. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And a guy from the same domain as my granddad took me under his wing and looked after me. Tariq Khan, what a wonderful chap he is. A129, slow traffic on A129 High Street both ways on A1015 Eastwood Road. It's reported at 9:53 a.m. Southend-on-Sea. There you go. Chelmsford car accident. Slow traffic on A1114 Baddow bypass. Slow traffic on A114 Baddow bypass westbound at A1060 Parkway. Army and Navy. Pause at 20 past 10 a.m. this morning. So you've got to think safety, think first before you enter UK roads. Don't enter the vehicle on sleep deprivation under narcotics. While you're driving up the road, do not eat your crisps. Eat your hamburger from McDonald's. You went for a drive, you've got to park up and eat it. I mean, you don't carry on driving. So either you go for a passenger, but you don't be driving while you're eating, because you're taking your eye off the road. Could hit an innocent racer, someone on their racing bike, someone on their push bike, someone on their motorbike, just for the sake of you eating your burger. Take your eyes off the road. Just think about others, you know. Make sure your MOT is updated, tax, insured, and you've got a driving licence. It sounds ironic, but the police are arresting so many incompetent drivers. It's unrealistic. There's over 160,000 car incidents, tragics a year. Incidents, you know, it's horrific. I mean, I can see over 100 a day when I look in. Over 100 a day in the whole of Great Britain. I mean, Great Britain's only 300 miles wide by 600 miles long. It's still quite a lot of counties. So, yeah, it's horrific. It's horrific, you know. You've just got to pay attention on the road. Check speed limits. Check for roadworks. On the Toucan cross, make sure they've crossed the road before you emerge on past the traffic, the crossing. Make sure they fully emerge the road. It's just simple steps, you know. Some people don't take them. They're in a rush. Why be in a rush? I get public transport. I'm in no rush to get anywhere. Let's face it, a bus doesn't get you from A to B very fast either. You got to be patient. You got to be calm. You got to be, you know. That's when you start to gain cognitive skills. When life's still, when it goes slow. That's when you gain cognitive skill. Your brain speeds up. Life slows down. Your brain speeds up. I could sit here looking at the ceiling, picking my bum, like a lot of people do, gossiping with one another, watching TV, which is all gossip. Just like, you know, what society do. I don't. I sit here and read my integrity because I need it for everyday doings, trying to support people like yourself. Alienated parents, trying to support, influence knife crime, trying to influence dangerous driving. Things that will protect our children in the long run. Not selling alcohol. Not selling narcotics. But I'm trying to provide safety for humanity. I get people criticising on social media. You're not working. This is working. I'm trying to protect society. If it's up to you, if you want to tune in and, you know, better your well-being and better your grandchildren or your children's well-being, it's up to you. But I'd want my world to be a better place. I know that. So when I tune in to listen to different legislators, I think they're quite inspirational. They're protecting our society, aren't they? They're protecting our society against inhumane idiots that act up. In you know, if you're walking the street and you see someone's teenager acting inhumane and you get stabbed or by accident, but their family go, yeah, but he was a good boy. He was a football player. No, he's not a good boy. He stabbed an innocent person, innocent bystander. I'm innocent. You're innocent. Regardless of what happened in 1983, 2018 onwards, you're a good human standard citizen. It was before. You're supporting disabled people. So what is the big problem? You know, I am just as vulnerable as the next person, and I'm doing good for society. So why people want to come here with constructive, it's not even constructive criticism. It's ludicrous criticism to say, am I working? I am working. But we're working really well, trying to make people understand the world as a better place. I'm an artist. I help people parent alienation. People do that as a job and citizens advice. But I speak, while I'm on the radio, I can speak to about 1,000 people. You might have just seen me on Facebook. But while I'm live on Facebook, it's live on YouTube, it's live on Twitter, and it's live on Castbox. Let's do the maths by the end of the day, how many people probably looked in? If they listen to the whole thing or not, it's a different matter. It's not my problem. But if they do tune in and think, actually, this guy's got some cognitive skills, we're going to keep listening. We might learn something. Then, you know, given these car incidents, just little guidelines like put enough fuel in to get to A to B, because there might be an incident, there might be roadworks, there might be congestion, there might be road closure, there might be lane closed, and there might be weather incidents. Without getting the weather updates, you're not going to know. If it's going to be rain or snow, you need to know it's going to take you another hour on top of your journey to get from A to B, don't you? Because you're going to be late for your meeting. You're going to be late for your mum's funeral or your dad's funeral. I know I don't mean to be as, you know, bizarre as that, but just have a think. I'm not trying to hurt society. I'm trying to help society. So don't come with your bad mouth criticising that I'm not doing enough work. It doesn't matter if I only do 15 hours a week. I'm still working, plus my tuition that I study day in, day out. You know, this is 4 hours promotion. This is 4 hours promotion. If I'm on here for an hour, I'm sharing it all over social media, what I've just done. And I'm sharing my instance on Twitter. And not a lot of you follow me on Twitter, for the ones that listen to on Castbox, YouTube, and Facebook. So there you go. Oh no, I do my hours. That's all that matters. What anyone else thinks, there you go. Anyone else that does this job themselves will know what work they put in. So I am as innocent as the next person. I've worked at a homeless shelter. I've worked at the food bank. I was a volunteer. I wasn't getting paid. I'm not getting paid for doing this. I'm still helping people. I'm helping people. So don't criticise. Anyway, talking about provocation, something that the youth of today need to be taught by their parents, but not many parents teach them. Don't know why. It's up to you, the parent. Some of these kids that go out killing people with knife crime, they usually come from a broken home because the mother don't want to let the child see their father, so the kid comes away frustrated. They don't know, haven't been taught by their father that knife crime's a bad thing to do, so they turn to knife crime, they turn to drug things. That's down to parental responsibilities. Kids are lost. A lot of provocations, not just for the, you know, for the young boy, the teenager who's been stabbed. It's provocation for all national services, isn't it? Police have to intervene. NHS, the police and NHS have got their whole life on the line for people like yourself, like us, and they're not gifted enough. They're not respected enough by you, the society. It's ludicrous. I see so much hatred, people trying to be critical about a policeman's job on Facebook, put them down. They don't deserve it. They do not deserve it. I ask them to do little favours for me sometimes, which, you know, if I'm vulnerable, I need people giving me hate crime and cyberbullying on Facebook. It needs to be dealt with. It does need to be dealt with because I am insured by the equity. I'm insured by equity by £200 million. So any hate crime, cyber, this is my job. As my equity is a radio presenter, it needs to be protected. So if I've got any hatred on any exploitation on my social media, any cyberbullying, anyone breaching ASBO, it needs to be protected. It needs to be taken into custody and have a word with, regardless of their job or their position. They need to be taken in, because I'm more vulnerable than I couldn't care if they care. They come and I've done nothing. I'm not asked for any criticism. I'm not asked for any hatred. What I do, this is my job, trying to protect society. I've been doing it for 3 years. A quarter more fatal stabbings in London so far in 2021 as capital could have worst year for killings on record. 17 teenagers have already lost their lives to knife crime in the capital this year. 17 teenagers. Tributes to 14-year-old Ferris Matu, one of the 17 teenagers stabbed to death in London so far this year. There were 6 more fatal stabbings in London at the start of 2021 compared to the same period last year, as teen knife deaths are set to hit grim record. Metropolitan Police data has revealed that while the overall number of stabbings has reduced by an almost a third at the start of 2021 compared to last year, the attacks that have taken place have tended to be more serious, with 6 more deaths and 36 more serious injuries in the space of 4 months. So far, the number of killings is over a quarter, 28% more than last year. This comes as Commander Alex Murray, the Met led for violence, said London could be on track for its worst year of young homicides since 2008. 17 teenagers. It's horrific, isn't it? Had their lives taken. From January to April 2020, which was partly spent in national coronavirus lockdown, 21 fatal stabbings took place across London, according to statistics obtained under the Freedom of Information Act. In the same period of 2021, the entirety of which was spent in lockdown, 27 people were killed in knife attacks in the capital. This means that of 4,432 victims of knife crime in the first 4 months of 2020, 0.5% were fatal. 0.8% of the victims of 3,183 of the knife crimes in the first 4 months of 2021 were killed. The Met said the levels of knife and gun violence seen already in 2021 could mean this year sees the highest number of homicides among young people since 2008, when 28 young people were killed. 17 teenagers have been killed in London so far this year, even as serious violent offences declined by 22%, and the overall murder rate is down over the past year. By May of 2021, the 12 young people have been killed compared to 14 through the whole of 2020 in June. 3 teenagers lost their lives in just 1 week as a result of knife and gun violence. Again, while the total number of knife attacks and threats decreased year on year from 2020 to 21, the number of serious injuries sustained by victims also went up. Of the 4,432 total victims of knife crime in January to April 2020, 317 were seriously hurt, while over the same period in 2021, 353 of the 3,183 knife crime victims were seriously injured. Of all the London boroughs, Newham had the highest number of knife crime victims from January to April 2020, with 274. The borough has kept the grim top spot in 2021, with 174 of victims of the knife crime from January to April. Of those killed in Newham this year were Junior Jar, who was shot and stabbed in Cantown in April. Just days before Junior was killed, 14-year-old Ferris Matu was killed in broad daylight, stabbing in Cantown. His friend said that his smile could literally light up the whole stadium. The Met has said that it plans to increase the amount of officers on the streets, as well as increasing patrols of open spaces, parks, bars and clubs this summer in a bid to stop violence. It added that while it understands that some people may not trust the police, it is working to build those relationships and show that preventing violence, it is a #1 priority. See the full borough by borough breakdown of total knife crime victims in London below. Comparing the start of 2020 to start of 2021. This includes all incidents from threats and only fatal stabbings. Barking and Dagenham. I'm going to do it from January. I'm not worried about January, April in 2020. January and April 21. Barking and Dagenham, 103 stabbings. In Barnet, it's 63 stabbings. In Bexley, it's 63. Brent, 116. Bromley, 44. Camden, 88. Croydon, 168. I think that's the highest out of the whole lot of the boroughs. Ealing, 126. Enfield, 158. 106 in Greenwich. I knew Enfield would be high. Hackney, 163. Croydon still the worst. Hammersmith and Fulham, 70. Haringey, 161. Harrow, 53. Havering, 35. Hillingdon, 83. Hounslow, 76. Islington, 144. Kensington and Chelsea, 52. Kingston Upton Time, 21. Lambeth, 134. Lewisham, 135. Merton, 62. Newham, 174. Newham is the worst place. That's where Millwall is. Redbridge, 98. Richmond, up on times, 31. Southwark, 116. Sutton, 50. Tower Hamlets, 169. Tower Hamlets is a nice area. I'm quite shocked. Waltham Forest, 115. Wandsworth, 99. Westminster, 104. It's quite horrific how many stabbings there is. The total is 3,183. I mean, I think it's about time. I said it, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it clear, and I said it before. It wasn't anyone, put me in this thinking mechanism. It's my own thinking mechanism. I proved in 2019 you don't need to cook meat in the oven. Although it's a good idea. If you cook meat in the oven, it makes it harder to cut. But what my theoretically, way of thinking mechanism is, if you boil your meat, you can boil any meat. So people go, oh, you can't boil roast chicken. Yeah, you can. You can't boil a turkey. Yes, you can. You can boil every single meat. Go back to the Roman times, the Anglo-Saxon times, the cavemen times, where they had big sauce pots over the fire. They used to boil their meat in a big saucepan, and you can still do it now on a saucepan on top of your hob. You can boil your meat, and when you boil your meat, if you boil it for 4 hours, for chicken you probably have to do it about 4 hours rather than an hour and a half in the oven like you usually do. For about 4 hours, you have to boil it for longer. That's all. When you boil it, it comes off like bits of flake, softest meat that you can ever have. Does it lose its flavour? No. You can also add stock cubes like meat, beef. You can add vegetable cubes to give it still a bit of flavour. If you think that it loses flavour, it doesn't. It does not lose flavour. But if my theoretically method, I know some dumb people, you've got binary stupid people that want to raise the odds for an argument. Well, if you want to prevent people getting stabbed and dying, you think, well, why don't we just all boil meat? Why don't we do away with all knives off the shop floors, kitchen knives? And the only people, obviously you got your restaurants, you got your butchers. They're going to need sharp knives. Well, give them a license to get a sharp knife, not off the shop floor, but behind the counter. And they're all in humane society, because you've got broken families. You got mother, you got stepfather. Stepfather's got his own kids. He's going to care about his wife's kids or his girlfriend's kids, but he's still got his own kids to deal with. So he's not going to be full attention on his wife's kids, because if he loses interest in the other kids, he'll lose contact with the other kids. So that's what I'm getting at. I'm not trying to write even stepmothers, vice versa. I'm not trying to, because I'm in a similar situation. I reckon he loves my kids like his own, but I wasn't trying to, say it like that. It comes across because that's my thinking mechanism. I talk about things, and it seems like, is he talking about me? No, I'm not. I'm just trying to, accumulate what's going wrong in society. Because it's like some kids are in really bad broken up families, like heroin addicts, this, that, and the other. And that's where kids are not being educated about knife crime. They think it's a way of life. They've got so much intoxication going through the family that just pick up a knife. I've got to defend myself. That's what, because they're so weak-minded, aren't they? No disrespect. They're probably bullied by their sociological square. So again, I'm not going to point fingers at this social class of make it incompetence. Just life chances sometimes. Sometimes people are unlucky for life chances. But we could make, make changes. The clever people, the critical thinkers can make changes. You need a license to get a knife. You've got to be a chef or a butcher. That's it. Or you don't have a knife. Simple as that. You need a license. Show me your chef license. Show me your butcher's license with your current job, not your job that you had 5 years ago. You need a written statement from your current job, from your manager, with a phone number, contact number, where it is, or you're not getting a knife. That now is the knife crime down. Theoretically speaking, you've got all these police forces, I don't know if they come up with these sort of terminologies, strategies, but this is the sort of stuff, my thinking mechanism. I'm trying to think logically. We're 66, it was 66,800,000 a while ago, but we've had COVID, lost numbers. I don't know how many people it is. Plus, we're losing numbers every day from knife crime car incidents. It might have dropped. But to make it drop, massively, and this is what we need to do. Another big thing, which is affecting youth for today, we're going to talk about it now. We've got a few idiots we need to talk about right now. Any narcotic dealer or drug dealer, you're a complete idiot. Complete idiot. Especially now, like I'm 37. I've grown up. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here, sitting in a suit or whistling Dixie, thinking I haven't got a past. We've all got a past. We've all had to live through life. We've all done things and realised that's a stupid thing. Really, really stupid thing. Listen to our parents and make us a better person. We think we're better than our parents sometimes. We go and do our own thing. We all do. Everyone's done it. We had Theresa May, said, what's the naughtiest thing she's ever done? And it's something so silly, but she's going to say that. She's not going to say, oh yeah, I've done some ketamine on a Saturday night with my friends down Camden Town. She's not going to say the truth when she's been a Prime Minister, let's face it. Which is a good thing, isn't it? It's like me sitting here, I'm not going to say I've done X, Y and Z because I'm a presenter. I want to present good news. I want to influence children. Do not go down this road like these idiots. And that's exactly how I want to preach to my own children as well as yours and your niece and your nephew and your cousins growing up. Essex crime. Trio from London jailed for running drug rings across Southend-on-Sea in South Essex. Multiple drug dealers are now serving sentences behind bars. These are grown men. Marcus Moses Carnes, 28, of Wixon Road, Manor Park. Garth Tullock, 27, of Farmling Close, Clapton. And Ahamu Funu Anukum, 27, of Iris Close, Ilford. Let me tell you, these guys can get put, I don't know how long behind prison. If they get quite a long, I don't know if it's Class A's have been doing, they could get anything up to about 12 years in prison. I don't know. But let's see what Class A's are. We can get up to about 12 years in prison for being a drug dealer. It depends how much they got caught with. But if they do that 12 years, if they do half of it, they're going to come out a better person. Hopefully go in there at that age, I'm going to surmise in 27, they've wasted their life. Drugs ain't worked for them. They've got that many years behind bars. They probably do 6 years of that 12 years. They've got to think to themselves, that life hasn't worked for me. It took me 6 years in prison. I've got a better. While I'm here for the 6 years in prison, that could be, I don't know if they can get what courses they can get. They might have to get themselves into university, perhaps, while they're in there. Who knows? But they can get themselves back on their feet. They deserve a second chance in life. Young adults trying to, they're still young adults. They are young adults, that age. Young adults, young fathers probably thought they threw their life away because they've got children. Same, there's alienated women that have done the same. Think they find their life away. They had their kids taken by their boyfriend because he had a good family support network. I know some. I know a few alienated mothers. and they feel like they're throwing their life up. You can get back on the ladder, get yourself well, get yourself into a better position, change your aspiration life, get into yourself university. Then you come out a better person for your children, be a better father, and they deserve a second chance at life. As long as they don't stab, stab someone. You can. When you stab someone, you don't just stab someone. You give someone trauma, anxiety, depression to be in public. It takes a lot. You take a lot away from someone when you go and be a coward and stab someone. So it's quite a life-threatening incident when you stab someone. I don't know what these guys have done. Drug dealers. Sometimes drugs lead to knives to protect themselves. Who knows? We can read it now. 3 East London men running a county line have been jailed after police discovered they were flooding South Essex with drugs. Marcus Moses Carnes of Rixton Road in Manor Park, Garth Tullock of Farmerling Close in Clapton, and Hafumi Anukum of Iris Close in Ilford all played part in the Tommy line in Southend-on-Sea, Essex. The drugs also found their way around nearby towns like South Benfleet and Leigh-on-Sea. The trio was spotted carrying out an alleged drug deal in a car on Elm Road, Leigh-on-Sea, in December the 4th last year. They also scooped conducting another deal in Chase, Benfleet, a few hours later. Officers from Essex Police Operation Rapture team stopped the car and arrested the trio. Moses Carnes was found with 19 wraps of cocaine on him. When police searched their Southend home in East Woodbury Crescent, further cocaine and cannabis was seized. The total street value of drugs they were seized came to £9,500. The mobile phone found in a car had a draft message advertising drug deals with 24-hour delivery, as well as other messages from customers. At Basden Crown Court on February 22nd, Moses Carnes and Tullock admitted possession with intent to supply cocaine and cannabis. Then Anukum admitted possession with intent to supply cannabis on April the 1st. The court heard Tullock held the drugs via phone. Moses Carnes was in possession of drugs, and Anukum was a car driver. They were working together for the house in East Woodbury Crescent. All three were sentenced on Monday, August the 2nd, when Moses Carnes, 28, was jailed for 4 years and 9 months. Tullock for 3 years and 4 months, and Anukum for 1 year and 8 months. So 4 years. I said 6. So he got 4 years, jail for 4 years. I said, 12 years, they do a 6-year sentence. The spokesperson from Essex said drugs are linked to violence, exploitation of young people and vulnerable adults, and other crimes such as burglary, theft and sexual offences. I said vulnerable people such as young adults, young children, university students, ruin their aspirations. Kids in university, especially going into university, you've got these drug dealers hanging outside because it happens. It happens out Essex University, it happens out Hertfordshire University because I see it. I was walking past, they thought I was coming out of university, asked me, don't want to cannabis. I said, do I look like a student, mate? I said, no, I don't. And then I'll probably tell them to say, sod off, to be totally honest. But that's what happens. It's horrific. That's why Essex Police relentlessly pursue drug dealers and suppliers, so we can't protect people from harm. You imagine your child having a stressful week, had a bad exam, and you've got drug dealers outside. The kid feel like he's just lost. He threw his university away because he's failed, and he's vulnerable, isn't he? So then you get drug dealers out by, mate, I've got a bag of weed. Do you fancy buying it? Well, I might as well, because I just threw all my dad's money down the drain because I failed my course. I'm going to break his heart. But no, you go again. A child, you should think to himself, I'll go again, but they don't because they're vulnerable. They'll go and do it. And these idiots need to leave them alone. Idiots like this need to leave you for today alone. So I need to get taught a lesson. I don't get caught, and I don't ruin anyone's life. Basden, Northlands Park. First photo of park stabbing victim, Terry Leaks. Revealed on what would have been his birthday. Terry should have been celebrating his birthday with his family, but instead they're grieving is death. We have a short amid break after this, ladies and gents. The first picture of a man was stabbed to death has been released on what would have been his 47th birthday today. Emergency services were called to Northlands Park in Basildon at around 1:35 a.m. on July the 13th, where they found a man in his 40s with a stab wound on his to his stomach. A lot of stabbings we're talking about, so stabbing here, stabbing there. It'd be nice if they did bring that out. I was trying, sign it as a petition, make a petition. Would people sign it? No, because people are too binary just to press a button for good use to support the youth of today and yourself and your mum and dad and your nan and granddad. People are too binary just to press a button and support someone. But if they see a petition, it's got a thousand ticks on it for whatever reason, people will just sign it for the sake. Oh, that's got 1,000 ticks. Let's just join in, not for the sake of this has got a good cause behind it. Because people are sheep, as I said, sheep herd around. Rather than read the cognitive text that's in front of you, the qualitative evidence, this could actually make the life a lot more better. It's like the guns in America. You'd think someone, there's probably has been a petition, let's get rid of the guns in America. But people will sit there and argue, we need our guns to protect ourselves. We don't. You don't need to protect yourself. You don't need a gun. You don't need violence. Go to boxing. If you want to lose violence, go to a boxing ring. That's what I did. I don't need to use violence. I've got so many people that wind me up. I'm not going to go to their front door and punch them in the head. I've got too much to lose. I've got too much to lose. I'm a father. I'm a carer. I'm not just a carer for my family, I'm a carer for the whole world. If you read my social media, it's about showing love and affection to the whole world. It's not nothing. I've got nothing discriminating toward any kind of society. Just my rights, human rights. We all have human rights, don't we? The man, 46-year-old Terry Deeks, was rushed to hospital, but also sadly confirmed dead shortly after being admitted. Today, Tuesday, August 17th, would have been Terry's 47th birthday. However, on the day, his family would have been celebrating grieving. So far, 7 people have been arrested on suspicion of his murder and are currently on bail. Essex Police, however, are continuing to appeal for urgent assistance to identify 4 individuals caught on CCTV. Around the time a man was stabbed to death. We're making Detective Chief Inspector Lewis Metcalf, leading the investigation, said Terry had not been celebrating his birthday with his family, but instead they're grieving his death. We're making good progress with our investigation, but I believe there are people out there with information about what happened who haven't come forward yet, either to us or anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Like everything I hear about, if you know anyone that's been stabbed and you've seen it, why haven't you involved the police already? Why haven't you let them know? You're not a coward to let the police know. Even if it's like one of your best mates at school, you don't grass him up because he stabbed someone. He took something. He took, because luckily he hasn't took someone's innocent life. You see him stab someone. That could have been your cousin. That could have been, you need to grass him up. He ain't your mate. You don't want to be around them circles. You need to get yourself out in circles. Wake up, smell the roses, get back in line with reality. These sort of people ain't your mates. These sort of people that are putting drink down your throat ain't your mates. These sort of people that are putting narcotics down your throat ain't your mates. If you're happy doing that lifestyle, that's down to you. But, if it's changing your thinking mechanism, blocking your vision, blocking what you want to be in life, then that's not your lifestyle. When you're a child, you have a dream, you want to be somebody, you want to go somewhere. If it's a professional footballer, or if it's a, top legislator, or to work in a solicitor's office, or be the best milkman driver, or be the best Burger King burger flipper, under the influence of all these other things, sin, it's going to block your vision. You're not going to be the best. You're not going to be the best. You might have the best time at the job, but you're not going to be the best in the job. because you're not thinking straight, and that's the truth. People ain't gonna like that because you're a different person, unless they want to be like you. That's the only difference. Anyway, I'm not discriminating everyone, but I'm saying everyone's got a choice in life. You can go down which route, any route you want. And like I say, don't think I'm better than anybody, because I've had a life, an eventful life. Believe me, I have. We all have. I wanted to go into the House of Commons. It's not even let me play in the event. Oh, it's finished, that's why. Home event guide. Nothing. But no event guides. Oh man. Ah, found it, got it. Okay. It's not what I want. Bear with me, ladies and gents, just trying to find something for you. If it plays, Yes. There we go.
Hey.
Having a break, ladies and gents. Speakers come back out, fast forward touch. See what's going on.
European Union, and they also know that the government has no idea how much non-quota species are being caught by EU boats in our waters. With the shellfish ban on exports and British fishers being harassed for catch data we don't require from EU boats, where in the Tory manifesto did it say that you would actually give away control of our waters? And where's the plan for fishing? Where's the plan?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'll take no lectures on these matters from the gentleman opposite, who, of course, wanted us to remain in the European Union and wanted to allow EU vessels to have the ability to fish our waters without even requiring a licence to do so. The government has required all foreign vessels, including EU vessels, to have a licence to fish in our waters. That sets certain conditions. We have access to vessel monitoring data so that we can track the precise location of all of those vessels. And we are also working on methodologies now so that they have to declare the catch when they leave our waters and when they enter our waters. And that will give us the data that the gentleman suggests we need.
Substantive question to Minister.
The government has a manifesto commitment to introduce compulsory microchipping of cats, and this was recently restated in the Action Plan for Animal Welfare. We carried out a public consultation which ended in February, and DEFRA officials are currently analysing the 33,000 responses. We'll publish the details of our proposals later this year.
Let's go to Catherine McKinnell. Catherine.
So despite widespread public support, as the Minister confirmed, we're yet to have a timetable for the compulsory microchipping of pet cats. We know that 2.6 million unchipped pet cats in the UK have less chance of being reunited with their owners if they're lost or stolen, despite how heartbreaking the loss of much loved pets can be, and the recognised need to improve animal welfare. So will the government ensure that the consultation on cat and dog microchipping reports as soon as possible and announce their timetable for introducing regulations to make microchipping compulsory for pet cats?
I share the Honourable Lady's enthusiasm for microchipping cats. 74% are already microchipped, including my own, I'm pleased to say. And we will be working hard as soon as we've done our response to the consultation to ensure that this can be put into legislation as soon as possible. Only secondary legislation is needed in order to bring about changes if those are considered necessary. So I don't anticipate any great delay, and I would like to reassure the Honourable Lady that we're working on this at pace.
Brad, let's get that question again, please.
The Seafood Response Fund gave funding to shellfish, aquaculture and catching businesses across the UK when they've been affected by COVID or by trade disruption. The size of each payment was based on the average fixed costs for each business, and for catching businesses, this was based on vessel size And for agriculture businesses, it was based on the number of people they employed.
In the ministers have time to read the deal the UK government signed. You know it's a bad deal and there's been a lot of trade disruption. Now, January and February, Scottish companies were losing roughly £1 million per day. By the end of February, the Scottish Salmon Producers Organisation stated their members had lost £11 million. So what does the Minister estimate the total cost of COVID and Brexit on the Scottish seafood industry? How much compensation has been paid to Scottish companies? How much compensation is still to be paid? And what's she done to resolve the issue of exports to the EU?
Well, the honourable gentleman will be aware of the extensive work that's been carried out by the Scottish Seafood Task Force, chaired by my honourable friend on the front bench, which has assisted in practical and sensible measures to assist with exports to the EU. In terms of the specific fund, we were very careful to make clear that Scottish businesses shouldn't lose out. So the fund was available for all eligible UK businesses, and Scottish businesses were able to apply for a top-up if that was appropriate. So we were very careful to ensure that Scottish businesses were treated equitably.
Substantive question to Minister Power.
Measures in the Environment Bill will help address the problem of untreated sewage entering the rivers. On the 9th of July this year, Southern Water was fined £90 million, the largest sum yet for a water company, for persistent illegal discharge of raw sewage. Ministers have been clear with water industry CEOs on their company's legal duties, and we are also tackling river pollution from poor farming practices. In addition to regulation and financial incentives, catchment-sensitive farming helped thousands of farmers to make water improvements.
Let's go to Andrew Shalhoub. Andrew.
Leighton Sewage Works pumped raw sewage into the River Ouzel for 149 hours in 2019, and in March this year in Mardle Road, wastewater was pumped into the river for several weeks. Volunteers Ruth Mundy and Liz Hooper report the absence of ducks, egrets and kingfishers, which were common in the past. Will the new Director of Water Quality at the Environment Agency be able to achieve a rapid and sustained improvement?
I thank him for highlighting that issue. Clearly something that's is unacceptable. I hope he will agree that we've got many measures now in place, and he's been involved in pressing for those. The Storm Overflows Task Force has been set up to deal with these sewage overflows, which in our view are used far too frequently. Much more monitoring is in place through the water companies. They have to publish a plan on this. The government has to report back on it, and we are really cracking down on this whole issue of water quality, and he's right to raise it.
Substantive question to Minister Prentice.
The Agricultural Transition Plan sets out how support for farmers is changing. Instead of paying farmers subsidies based on the amount of land they own, we're introducing new schemes to incentivise good ecological practices. We will also offer grants to support new entrants to the sector and improve productivity and business planning.
SNP spokesperson Deirdre.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The UK government yesterday indicated it was willing to break its own trade deal with the EU because of the consequences that they told us wouldn't happen. The EU may then very well implement tariffs on UK exports to the EU, as they have a right to do under the Tory negotiated deal, which would be calamitous for our agricultural sector. Now, the Secretary of State or Minister will no doubt answer with reference to all the new deals the International Trade Secretary is signing the UK up to. But just days ago, the New Zealand Prime Minister warned that failing to keep to treaty commitments could threaten membership of the CPTPP. So will the Secretary of State or Minister commit to covering the extra costs to farmers this whole sorry mess is causing, or are the consequences of this ideological Brexit crusade to be borne by everyone but the UK government and its ministers?
Mr. Speaker, I don't think it's any secret to this House that I was no Brexiteer, but I must say that for farming and fishing, I think we have really gained from Brexit. In England, we don't think the environment can wait, Mr. Speaker. We want to start paying public money for public goods to our farmers, and that is how they will be supported in the future.
Substantive question to the Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, the Scottish seed potato industry is renowned globally for its high health status, and it is second to none. It exports to some 40 countries around the world. 80% of its exports are outside of the EU to markets such as Egypt and Morocco. Now, as my honourable friend knows, the EU has adopted a curious stance in respect of authorising Scottish seed potatoes. While EU law provides a mechanism for equivalence to be recognised, the Commission have so far refused to even allow their SCOPAV Science Committee to assess our application. We are continuing to work with industry to unblock this issue.
Let's go to Douglas Ross. Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm grateful to the Secretary of State for that response. To remove the risk to Scotland's seed potato industry, will the UK government agree to prohibit the importation of seed potatoes from the EU in order to respect the principle of reciprocal trade?
Mr. Speaker, we introduced a temporary 6-month marketing authorisation that allowed EU seed potatoes to be marketed in England and Wales earlier this year. That has now expired, as agreed with industry and the devolved administrations. If any applications are received for marketing equivalence, the UK will consider if seed potatoes have been produced under conditions equivalent to requirements in GB regulations. And of course, the sensible thing to happen here is for the EU to apply their own rules and their own laws and assess the application that we've lodged with them.
We have a substantive question to the Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, the UK has a resilient food supply chain built on strong domestic production, open markets and an advanced logistics and retail sector. The impacts of the pandemic and labour shortages mean it has been tested, and we've been working with colleagues across government to ensure that our food supply chain has the support that it needs. The Agriculture Act also requires regular assessments of food security, and the first of these will take place later this year.
Let's go to Ian Byrne. Ian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. DWP data revealed the shocking fact that 42% of households on universal credit pre-COVID were food insecure. With the planned removal of the £20 uplift from universal credit, can I ask the Secretary of State what impact assessment his departments have completed on the impact of removing the uplift regarding the food security of the 6 million people on universal credit?
Mr. Speaker, we regularly monitor household food spending on food, and it's important to note that last year household spending on food among the poorest 20% of households was the lowest on record at around 14%. That said, we absolutely recognise that there are individual households who struggle to afford food. That is why the government has brought forward a number of initiatives over the last 12 months to support them through groups like Fair Share, but also the holiday food scheme as well.
Shadow Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's crops rotting in the field due to a shortage of people to pick them. There's a self-inflicted shortage of HGV drivers due to the government's poor Brexit deal. And there's now empty shelves across Britain because thousands of retail workers are doing the right thing and self-isolating. So can I ask the Secretary of State for Food, why hasn't he got a grip on the lack of food security in the country, and where's the plan?
Well, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to labour, the honourable gentleman will know that we've introduced the seasonal agricultural worker scheme. That's been crucial this year in providing farms with the seasonal labour that they need, and we have allowed 30,000 seasonal workers to come in under that scheme. And we're also continuing to work with businesses on this issue of staff having to isolate. The government will shortly be saying more about its approach here to ensure that key critical infrastructure is able to continue.
We now have a substantive question to Minister Power.
We are introducing reforms to the waste sector, which will help us increase the amount of material we recycle. These reforms which include introducing consistency in household and business waste collection in England, extended producer responsibility for packaging, and a deposit return scheme for drinks containers. And together, these measures will help us meet our commitment to recycle 70% of packaging by 2030 and 65% of municipal waste by 2035.
Let's go to Jessica Morton. Jessica.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Not only are we in Wales the third best at recycling in the world, but in Newport, under the leadership of Newport Council and Waste Savers, we're the top recycling city in Wales, and the reuse centre in my honourable friend for Newport West Street is one of 3 nominated for Civic Amenity Centre of the Year with rates of 90%. Does the Minister agree the government can learn much from Wales and Newport?
I thank you for her question. I'm not going to be snippy about this. If we can learn lessons from anyone, I'm never too proud. But equally, we're setting up, the challenges are different in every place. And quite clearly, we have set our targets to increase our recycling rates here in the UK, but actually Wales will be joining with us and Northern Ireland in the deposit return scheme, and we very much welcome all the negotiations and consultations we're having to make sure that will work across the borders.
Final question before Topicals. We have a substantive question to Minister Powell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Reducing leakage is an essential part of our ambition to improve water efficiency. Ofwat has set companies a performance commitment to reduce leakage by 16% by 2025. The water companies have further committed to deliver a 50% reduction by 2050, which could save up to 1,400 megalitres of water per day. I will require water companies to develop their water resource management plans on this basis.
Sir Robert Neal.
The problem we have in Bromley is that 95% of the mains, according to Thames Water, are cast iron and therefore much, much more liable to breaking rather than an average in London of 50 to 60%. That means that we have repeated leaks, often in the same place, patched up time and time again, 133 in one postcode area in 4 months in one instance. This is actually causing real issues for my constituents. Can we have a specific programme to replace outdated Victorian infrastructure and bring it up to purpose for the 21st century?
I thank him for that, and I do realise the challenges that they are facing in his constituency. And repairing and replacing leaking pipes, as he points out, is absolutely critical, particularly obviously critical to maintaining clean, safe, reliable drinking water to our homes and businesses. And identifying those leaks is obviously challenging, and water companies are looking at innovative ways to improve outcomes. And it is really for the companies to decide how to maintain their infrastructure, but we are pushing them with those targets that have been set. And to minimise disruption caused, though, they are required to provide notice of planned work to customers and local authorities.
Come to the topic of Matt Weston.
Mr. Speaker, over the past 18 months, the key workers in our food supply chain have worked incredibly hard to keep the nation fed during the difficult context of the pandemic. The recent hot weather has increased demand for some items, like bottled waters, and staff absences have increased, but remain lower than seen earlier in the pandemic. We are working with colleagues across government to support businesses in the food supply chain, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all those key workers working on farms, in food factories, in the distribution system, and in our food retail sector for their extraordinary efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the last 2 years, we've seen tragic floods in Yorkshire, Cumbria, South Wales. We've seen the floods, obviously, in Europe and now in China. Obviously, the government has cut spending on flood defences by 10%. Why?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman's incorrect in that the capital spending on floods is increasing to £5.2 billion. That's almost a doubling on the previous programme. We have held various meetings around the Yorkshire area, and Yorkshire is going to be one of the key beneficiaries from that investment we're making.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In many villages such as Winchelsea Beach and my beautiful constituency, sewage or foul water drainage is not separate from rainwater, stormwater drainage. There is a combined system, which means that at times of high rainfall, many residents suffer sewage flooding in their gardens. Does my right honourable friend agree that in view of environmental and health concerns, it is imperative that sewage is kept in a separate pipe from rainwater? And if so, what steps will he take to ensure that these changes happen?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend makes a very important point. Some of the challenges we have are typically with houses that were built in the Victorian era, whereas she says the street drainage system goes into the foul water sewage system. That can lead to it being overwhelmed at times. Most developments that have taken place since the 1960s do have that surface water drainage separated from foul water sewage systems. We have set up a task force to look at how we can address this problem, and in particular reduce the use of combined sewage overflows.
Shadow Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had a good trip up to Newcastle-under-Lyme recently to meet with residents and the pressure group Stop the Stink, and to see and smell for myself the horrific emissions from Wally's Quarry, the local landfill site which has the dubious honour of being the smelliest tip in England. So what engagement has the Secretary of State had with the owner of the site, Red Industries, to restore residents' physical health and mental well-being and stop the stink? Where is the plan?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend, the member for Newcastle-under-Lyme, has been raising this issue with me and with the Prime Minister and others consistently. There is a challenge. I met him twice to discuss it. I've also met the local team in the Environment Agency dealing with this, and I've discussed it with the Chief Exec of the Environment Agency. One of the problems here is that it's thought that some plasterboard was illegally dumped in the site. That's what's causing this current problem with hydrogen sulfide. The Environment Agency are working on a plan to flare those gases off, and we are doing all that we can to support them in that endeavour.
We now go to Claire Coutinho. Claire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to be hosting another Green Timber in East Surrey this year, a whole month of pushing for environmental progress and looking at the small actions that we can all take as residents to protect nature. As this helpfully coincides with COP26, would ministers consider my request to speak at an East Surrey COP summit this year?
Okay.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable lady is absolutely right that this is a really big year for the environment internationally, not only with COP26 being hosted in Glasgow, but also the CBD COP15 as well, where we're going to be setting some crucial biodiversity targets. I'm sure that one of myself or our ministerial team would be more than happy to speak to her event, and we're speaking to many other such events around the country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I visit schools in Luton North, including Leland's, where I went recently, one of the top concerns for young people is plastic waste. The government says it will eliminate plastic waste by 2042. But by that time, the kids that I met in Leland's will be adults. They would have had jobs. Many would have become parents. Well, he worked with us on this side of the house to improve recycling rates and actually deal with the plastics crisis affecting landfill and ocean across this country and across our planet before those children become adults.
Mr. Speaker, I'm regularly contacted by students in schools around the country on this great challenge. We have made some very important steps forward with the ban on some single-use plastics, and we intend to go further with such bans, the levy on single-use carrier bags, and we have in our flagship environment bill the proposal for extended producer responsibility that will make the people who manufacture goods and use the packaging responsible for its recycling at the end of its life. And that's going to be a significant change that will help reduce the use of plastics.
The annual scientific advice on fish stocks provided by ICES is a crucial element in terms of determining sustainable fisheries in European waters. But there are concerns that without an independent peer review process, the government may take that wholesale without considering other elements such as social or economic concerns. Can I ask what steps the government are taking to ensure a whole industry process which takes all of these factors into account when determining tackling quota for the year ahead?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the UK government works very closely with ICES. Indeed, our chief fisheries scientist at CFAS is the deputy president of ICES.
We're going to get on with the show now, lads. Sorry to cut off. It's Parliament Live. That's inside the committee meeting. Yeah, we're going to move on with the show. We just left off from the Basden Northlands Park first fight of Park stabbing victim Terry Leaks revealed what had been his birthday. You know, Knife crime is a absolute provocation, tragedy for the victim if he gets killed or if he gets put in a life critical condition. Not just for himself, is it massive trauma for his family, heartache, friends, perhaps, and it's worry, anxiety on their friends, his friends, his circle, his social circle. I think, are we going to be next? Are we going to be safe? It's a tragedy, absolute tragedy. Knife crime, can we stop it? My ideology of knife crime is, like I said, chefs and cooks. Yeah, chefs and butchers they have to have a license. Simple as that. That is the only way you can stop it. Get rid of all knives. Every household. I mean, I've got knives. I'm not stupid enough to use it, but if that is everyone's argument, can we seize all the knives? Can we put knife banks in everyone's handing knives? They've got children. We know our mentality is not stupid enough to go and take a knife. We know having a knife, theoretically, we shouldn't have to need to be able to protect. We shouldn't have to protect ourselves against conflict. Same as people with cars. You know, man, people that probably don't like me in this world, but while I'm doing good, trying to do good for society, you're always going to get a few sour grapes left from past events. You know, like ex-relationship, ex-sporting events, football, hockey, netball. You're going to get the opposition. You're going to have the opposition every life corner you take. Your past jobs you've worked for, upset the manager because you left, upset your workforce because you left. You're always going to get a bitter apple that's going to want some sort of retaliation. You provoked them for whatever reason. I've got no hurt or pain in my body against society, apart from people that cause me conflict on my hatred, like social media, trying to dictate my lifestyle. I'm a very intelligent man. I do things to let people know that I've been hurt just as much as they have. So I do things on purpose. If they imply the rules, I imply the rules. Until then, they're breaking the rules. They're breaking the rule of law. So I'm not breaking the rule of any law because I study law and I study it thoroughly. I get treated with respect when they treat me with, I treat them with respect when they treat me with respect. Until that day, there is no respect. And that is exactly how I work. So if you're listening and you're one of them, that's how I work. Treat people how you like to be treated. Exactly how you got taught as a child. Exactly how I did. If the bread is mouldy, you're not going to butter it and eat it, are you? I like things to run smoothly. Smooth operation. Same as anyone else. I'm human. But when people act inhumane, that's their undoing. I'm not being inhumane. It's called fighting fire with fire. I'm being reasonable. UK looking at bespoke Afghan refugee scheme. Dominic Baib. UK is looking at a bespoke arrangement for Afghan refugees, with full details to be set out in due course. The Foreign Secretary has said. A new resettlement scheme will be aimed at helping those most in need, including women and girls, to come to the UK. Number 10 has said. Dominic Baib did not confirm how many refugees would be able to come, but said the UK was a big-hearted nation. It comes after the Taliban seized control of the capital city, Kabul. Mr. Baib told BBC Breakfast the UK had always been a country that has provided safe haven for those fleeing persecution. However, he added, the most important thing we can do at source is try and provide stability so we don't see these large numbers of migrant flows. So I think that ought to be a number one priority, but nonetheless, asylum is really important. Mr. Baib said that details of the new resettlement scheme will be set out by the Home Secretary and Prime Minister in due course. Parliament is being recalled for its summer recess on Wednesday to debate the situation in Afghanistan. The BBC has been told the new settlement scheme will be similar to that used to help Syrian refugees. Around 20,000 refugees who fled the conflict in Syria has been resettled in the UK under the scheme since it was launched in 2014. On Monday evening, the Home Office said the UK had already admitted more than 3,300 Afghan interpreters, staff and their families to the UK for resettlement. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, really important call. 2 seconds. Hello? Hi there. Oh, hiya. Oh, yes. I mean, what time will you be here, sir? Yeah, nothing. Yeah, you're not going to be in my way. I mean, I was just in my way. I've literally just come off it because I had a phone call and it's important. So, yeah, you're more than welcome to come. I'll, yeah, just stop what I'm doing. I was going to do my artwork next, but you're more than welcome to come. Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. Thank you. See you a bit, mate. Thank you. Bye. Ladies and gents, I've got a gentleman come on. I'm going to have to end the show, unfortunately. It is Tuesday, the 17th of August. We've had over an hour and 12 minutes. I was going to make it about an hour and a half. I had 2 more segments to get through, but unfortunately, I've got to cut the show short. I've always appreciated everyone coming through, giving me some acknowledgement. When you get acknowledgement, it gives you encouragement to do more for God than you did yesterday. And tomorrow, I'll do more for God than I did today. I say hallelujah, I say amen, I say ethos is the word. Multiculturalism is special, and we are one. The world is one big family. Don't get frustrated if you speak to a foreigner and you can't understand them. Just let them know in a polite way. Smile. Don't get frustrated. Wave and say goodbye if you have to. Say you can't understand. I'm sorry. Give the sorry signals with your, shrugging your shoulders. Not with clenched fists, because it shows conflict. Be polite. Smile. That's what I say. That's all I say. Stay away from conflict. I think that's one of the main frustrations of a lot of confliction, Can't understand someone, so someone gets ratty. Don't get ratty, it's no need. Be polite. Polite is the only way. Take care, one love. God bless. Stay safe.